Hello and welcome to Talk to Your Health. I'm your host, Dr. Derek Da Silva. A recent survey revealed most children do not wear mouth guards when playing sports that have a high risk of mouth injuries. Not only do mouth guards protect kids from mouth injuries, but they can also guard against potentially more dangerous concussions. Here to talk about the importance of mouth guards and show us some of the options available is Dr. Susie Press, a Delta Dental pediatric dentist with Children's Dentistry of Morristown. Welcome to the program. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So what about this whole idea of mouth guards? I mean, this is something that I guess parents think about, but is it something that people do in your experience?
Yes, well, it's one of just the protective gear or equipment that our kids use when they go out to play sports. We wouldn't send them out without a football helmet or eye protection, but we do send them out without mouth guards. But we really need to educate parents, teachers, coaches, and athletes about wearing a mouth guard.
Are there certain sports that have made mouth guards mandatory?
Yes, football, hockey, lacrosse, and field hockey all have mandatory requirements for their athletes to wear mouth guards. But really anybody who comes in contact with a ball, a puck, a stick, an elbow, a head really needs to wear a mouth guard.
Now these are some statistics here I want to go over here, that nearly 7 in 10 parents report their child does not wear a mouth guard at soccer, basketball, baseball, and softball practice or games. 7 out of 10?
And even those include also football, where it is mandatory and they don't. And we're not sure why. So that's why we're here, is really to educate, to get people to say that wearing a mouth guard is just part of your equipment list when you go out for athletics.
And another thing some information that we found was that more injuries happen during practice than during the game. Why?
Well, most times if children are going to be wearing a mouth guard, it's during the game and not during the practice. And sometimes they're just a little bit more relaxed, so they tend to have more injuries during their practice than during their games.
So what do mouth guards actually do? I mean, it seems obvious, but I want to ask the question. I want to ask the obvious question.
Well, mouth guards do a number of things, but basically they act as a shock absorber. They need to cover the surfaces of the teeth, all the way to the gums. They need to cover all the way back behind the teeth. And what happens is, from the force of the injury, that force is then distributed over a larger area.
You mean from the force of the impact?
The force of the impact,
okay.
So that it's not localized to one tooth. Some of the injuries without a mouth guard can be fracturing a tooth, can be total loss of a tooth, can be dislocation or displacement of a tooth. You can get soft tissue injuries. And the mouth guard will protect against
What
these.
about concussions? What's the role of this with concussions?
The thought with concussions is this. With the mouth guard in place, there is a thickness on the biting surfaces of the teeth, and what that does is that separates the head of the condyle on the mandible, on the lower jaw, and it makes a space between that and the base of the skull, so that if there is an impact from underneath the chin or from the side of the jaw, you've got some sort of shock absorption.
So it's one of, again, it's the whole shock absorber-like effect with this whole thing. All right, well, let's get to some of these mouth guards that we have on the table. Let's start off with this. What is this right here?
That is a stock mouth guard. It is a preformed, you take it right out of the box and put it right in your mouth. This is probably the least effective, also the least expensive of the mouth guards.
Okay.
The next kind
is this one right here? This is
that is an orthodontic. Even though kids have braces, they still need to protect the soft tissues and the bone, the dental alveolar tissues. So this has a wider width so that it can fit over the brackets and the wires.
And then what about this right here?
That actually is the custom made. That is made by a dentist. Going back to the boil and bite, these are probably the most common.
I see.
And with this, what you do is you actually put these in boiling water, and you put them in your mouth, and then you can fit that.
And then these here across the front are just examples of
these are just examples.
All right. Right. But the custom one that people need to do is which one?
Is this one.
Okay, perfect. So that's the one that you recommend?
This is the one we recommend. This is actually made by a laboratory. An impression is taken of the athlete's mouth, and a mouth guard is custom made to fit that child,
Okay.
that athlete. So we can get the proper thickness, we can get the proper height, and we can get the proper extension of the mouth guard back behind that very last tooth. That's what helps
So the
prevent
bottom line
concussions.
here is what? What's the message?
The message is to wear a mouth guard. It's just part of your protective gear when you play athletics, whether it's practice or whether it's games. And anytime there's any sports with any contact, ball, bat, stick, or another athlete, you really need to
Very
include
good.
your mouth guard.
So any mouth guard is better than nothing. Get out there and just wear one.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much.
a pleasure to have you here with us. Having